All right, we're live. Crypto Coffee, aka Matt, here with Jay Future, an
Yes.
OG-ish Mexican, and I'm sure OG PulseChain too, whatever we're calling them. Uh,
hmm
Jay works for an SEO company. He's an expert in CRO, search marketing, and basically just dominating Google for their clients, as far as I understand it, for a company called Two Disc. And the way I found out about you, actually, Jay, was the other day. I saw you posted, or Richard retweeted you maybe.
hmm
I forgot what that was exactly. But you were editing Wikidata to help boost search engine results for things like HEX and Richard Hart. And that was something I never knew about before. And I know a little bit about SEO. So I think it's important for everybody to learn about. But I wanted to talk to you and see if you can inspire some people maybe that watch this with your skill set, how you're adding to hacks and how you don't only have to just go make YouTube videos or go make a Twitter post, but there's so many different ways to add to the community and add value to hacks and PulseChain and help make it go viral. And I think your skill set's unique. So I want to give like a brief introduction.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I thought that was a really good introduction right there. I you know, wanted to always like the idea of working online and being, location free. And so I, started off as a translator. I speak Spanish and Chinese. And so that was kind of my thing of just like being able to go remotely and travel. And then I got into SEO in like 2017. And that, was great because it's an industry that's actually growing in terms of like what you can do online. And so that really kind of excelled things for me, and I was able to like travel more and like, go to more places and just kind of like live a really full life. And then after COVID, I started getting more into cryptocurrency because, investing is something that I always knew was really important, and something that like especially my grandfather really instilled in me, and had me set up a Roth IRA after I graduated college. And
Smart.
so I knew that like investing was something to always pay attention to. But then getting into crypto is really like that rabbit hole of realizing how many different things it's going to change, in addition to finance. And so once I found HEX, I had a really good friend that got me to pay more attention to that, and, found it really to be true that it is sort of the end of the road when you're getting into crypto. And when you find it, you realize like, oh, this is what I was looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a pretty revolutionary investment.
Yeah.
Wild volatility, but the price you pay for the
hmm
volatility is, or for the mad gains rather, is the volatility. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't have the stomach for it. A lot of people still call it a scam,
hmm
and they always will. I mean, it's like the internet. I was watching a video the other day of Bill Gates being interviewed about the internet, and then they're like, "Well, who's going to use this? Why not just, we have that. It's called radio. People
Right.
can talk to each other all day long. And it's like, some of us are onto it, and everyone else is going to have to get on board sooner or later, because I think it's the train's left the station, and you're either early to the party or you're a late adopter. Once everybody has a wallet, and I think that's kind of what Hex is trying to do, more than anything else, is adoption. People don't
hmm
realize. I mean, yeah, it's designed to go up in value because value accrual incentivizes more adoption, and it's this virtuous cycle of adoption and value accrual, and then that gets more adoption and value accrual, and that's why you see this explosive run up in the Hex price chart and the
Right.
Bitcoin price chart and any other asset in crypto that's actually worth holding longer term. And then obviously it tapers off as it gets to the top of the S curve of adoption. But yeah, I think what you're doing is pretty cool. So you taught me some things about Wikidata, and so there's this
Mm,
website, as far as I understand, where Wikipedia logs all of its data in a structured format,
right.
and you can post reference links to various words to help them gain notoriety on Wikipedia and basically make them more official. Um, do you want to kind of talk about some of the strategies you use for companies and see if those could somehow apply to people doing content for Hex and for PulseChain?
Yeah, totally. So I think Wikidata is a good place to start. SEO, search engine optimization, is very, very broad. There are many different components of it that you could talk about, like digital PR, web development, outreach. And so within SEO, one thing I was talking about that can kind of be important for anybody is this online reputation management, and seeing like when somebody looks you up, what shows up, is it good information? Is it bad information? Because that
Yeah,
can have such an effect on any kind of conversion, right? Somebody wanting to do business with you, somebody wanting to invest in something you mentioned.
yeah,
And so that's like where Google, has such a big effect on everybody. As much as you want to use alternative search engines or you use something different, like everybody kind of just uses Google.
yeah.
And so like one of the things is we talk about like knowledge panels. I wonder if I should share his screen so I could like kind of show what I'm talking about.
Yeah, if you're comfortable with that, go ahead.
Yeah,
I can allow it. Um,
screen share.
and what we're talking about, what you saw in the thumbnail, search engine results pages, that's abbreviated as SERP for the you guys that
Yep.
don't
Yeah,
know.
exactly.
The really cool, what you want for SERPs is and for reputation management is for everything on the front page of Google to be good because, in all honesty, people don't really click this to page 2 on Google very often, and they
Right.
almost never click to page 3. So I remember back in the early days of HEX, when you were looking up HEX crypto on Google, you would see 2 or 3 just persistent articles that would not go away, and they were awful and they were slanderous and they were straight
Mm-hmm.
out lies, calling HEX a scam and really not using any valid data. They had like 2 or 3 points that were all blatant lies, and I remember thinking, we need somebody to manage this reputation. I remember reaching
Mm-hmm.
out to a reputation manager online, but he seemed a little black hat in the terms that
Mm.
he was like, well, I can go to the companies, CoinDesk and Cointelegraph, and I can go remove their record from their database. And I'm like, that
Mm-hmm.
sounds kind of illegal. So like,
Right.
maybe there's a way to do reputation management in a better way. And now
Yeah.
today, when I look up Hex Crypto, I don't see any of those articles anymore. You really have
Mm.
to dig to find some of those BS articles. And I don't know, did you have anything to do with that, or is that just over time sentiment is shifting? You think?
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't say I have to do anything with that directly because I don't own any Hex related digital assets. I don't have like a Hex website or anything that I would
Yeah,
rank for Hex crypto. I may someday. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, like that's like one of the things too I'd want to mention right away, just in this like talking about search engines and crypto, and people assume that Google is super official and that like you can trust anything, especially on the first page.
hmm,
But let me tell you, that is not true. And the first page is so valuable because people know that everybody uses Google. And so,
yeah,
I've seen websites get hacked where they get injected with pages just so that they'll rank on the first page for all kinds of like random spam sort of
mhm,
queries. And then when you click from Google, it redirects you to their own site, their own, spam site, even from a Google ad where
yeah,
they inject links so it can take you right from the first page, to their own site. And so you have to be careful on any of the Google products that it's not official. You can totally get brought to a spam. I
yeah,
know people say that like don't Google search for MetaMask before you download it. Don't Google search for an app. You like get that direct URL and go there, and that's how that it's going to be safe.
yeah. That's a really
Um,
important point. Don't ever click on a MetaMask ad because it's
yeah.
probably a fake URL where they're modifying the URL to look exactly like MetaMask.io, but the I is like a lowercase l or something like that,
Hmm.
and it's just a phishing site. And some of them are more blatant than others. The redirect ones I didn't know about. That sounds a little more complex. But anybody can run ads, guys. For example, I've been running ads this entire past 2 years basically for Hex.com. And so if you've ever seen a Hex.com ad on Google, I'm paying for those.
Oh, cool.
So like every day, I'm just funneling like a couple of dollars a day, but anybody can go do this, right? Anybody can go and hopefully you're doing it legit. Like all I'm advertising is Hex.com, right?
Hmm.
But yeah, you can target keywords like certificate of deposit or best certificate of deposit, and then you could have things that people might be searching for but might not really know that they're searching for Hex or that they might like
Right.
Hex, and you can kind of intercept them with the Google ads sometimes. So that's one tactic that I don't really. Uh, it's not for everybody, and if you don't have the money, you don't have to do that. But it does kind of work. Um, but you were talking about Google
Knowledge panels,
knowledge.
yeah, because
Yeah,
that's the kind of thing like when you have especially something that's new like Hex, when it was launched, like Google doesn't know what the official sites are. They can't tell the difference between good and bad information.
Yep.
And so that can be an issue when you're starting something new, is it's very easy for like bad information to rank right on the first page. And so the reason that the knowledge panel is important is because that's always going to be on the first page. And that's something that if you are the official representative, you can claim, and you don't have complete control over it, but you have as much control as you could in terms of like what's going to rank in the search results. So I'm going to share my screen so that we know, or I'll do window,
Yeah.
just
I
so
just
we
made a note.
know. I can have some visuals for what I'm talking about. So, okay, sweet. So I'm sharing now. So if we just, look up like Hex crypto relevant to
Yeah,
what we're
let's see what
talking about.
comes up. You've obviously got hex.com, CoinMarketCap.
Yep. Yeah.
That's all.
CoinMarketCap. Yeah. Bummer, right? Right there.
Well,
And
they're
then
all
this, and it's important too to mention, like, this is dynamic. So if I start clicking these, it's going to give me more. Say, just added 2 more. And so that's something that like some people might not realize, is that like all the search results are dynamic. This is good, right? Is Hex a good crypto? And somebody saying long-term investors are happy lots. That's great to see. But what I would hope to see, and this was like part of the purpose of what I was doing and tweeting about, was I want to see a knowledge panel right here about Hex that got the logo, that's very official, that links to, Wikipedia.
Now, what do you need for that? Do you need to have a Wikipedia page?
Yeah, great question. So, like anything in SEO, it's a bit of a black hole, right? Like Google decides when you get a knowledge panel, they can get rid of it.
Yeah.
And so there are tactics you can use, but there's no guarantee of getting a knowledge panel. So, and there are different kinds of knowledge panels. So let me start with this, like Richard Hart. This is his knowledge panel, and Google's changed the format a bit. So now they like put it right at the top, but it used to be just kind of all on the right here. And so it's great because when you're looking up Richard Hart, he looks very legitimate, right? You say, okay, this guy's a philanthropist. And then here's, the bio, and then here's the link to Wikipedia. You'll notice he hasn't claimed it yet.
Well, I'm sure richardhart.com actually helped. He made it his own personal website,
right?
Detailing his own autobiography. People also search for Donald Trump, Elon Musk.
I know. Yeah, that's kind of interesting, isn't it?
That is hilarious because those I've heard associations with all 3 of those people.
Yeah, so it's pretty funny. So this is a good actually talking point. Like even if he claimed it, you can't control this. Google just does this automatically. You can't control this. What you can control is like if it linked to the wrong profile, you could control that. You could make edits to this description. You can change, the years you're born, and then you can also via like Wikidata add more information here, like more stats.
So how do you change that? Can you, besides Wikidata, can you go through, like, how would you change a social profile if it was linking to the wrong one?
Yep. So what you would do is you would go to claim. And so you'll see if I go to claim here, I think it's just going to ask for that you have to have access, to Search Console. So Google recognizes that this is an official website, richardhart.com. And so if I was an owner, if I had owner access of this site in Search Console, then I would be able to show Google that I'm an official representative and then make edits from there. But in terms of like how you get this knowledge panel, and this is something that I think I will tweet about, just trying to brag about, because Richard Hart did not used to have a personal knowledge panel like this. Like you only get this from being a recognized person.
And I like that it says philanthropist, not
right?
even entrepreneur.
Yeah. Before it said, I didn't like what it said. It said like writer or something before, a novelist. And he didn't used to have a knowledge panel. And then I was thinking like, man, he's got to have a knowledge panel, because every time I talk to somebody about Hex, they're like, okay, who's Richard Hart? And then they're going to go Google him. And so what I did was he didn't have a knowledge panel, and I went to richardhart.com, because one of the things you can use to get a knowledge panel is structured data, which is certain kind of coding that basically tells search engines what's on the page in a coding format they understand, rather than search engines just reading this and having to figure it out. You tell them like what the context is, who these different entities are, like the fact that Sci-Fi is a book, and Richard Hart is a person, things like that. So like to get into kind of like SEO tactics a little bit, what I did was I went to richardhart.com. I said, okay, if he's using schema, it'll be on this site. And I did the view page source to see like this. You can actually see what's the coding of the site, like what's in the HTML. This can be helpful for a lot of things. And then of course you have like your Command F to find things. So I looked up like, is the word structured data anywhere? Schema is the other word for it, or JSON's often the code. And you see he's not using any schema on his site. So I thought, okay, if he's not using any schema, then the other main tactic people use to get a knowledge panel is Wikidata. So I went to Wikidata, and Richard Hart does have a profile there. He already had one. And so I just filled it out. So you can edit all this. You don't even need to log in, but I think it's better to create a free account. And then there's a bit of a learning curve, but some of it's pretty obvious. Like if I just wanted to edit this, you just click it and you can just edit. And so I added more information here. I optimized it. I wrote this description, and I wrote, like what his real name was, but he's better known as Richard Hart. So I thought that should stay as the main one. Right. And then these are all the different statements that you can make. And so you can add a statement, or you can add a value to a statement. So instance of human, and then everything should have a reference. And so this, I used his official website as the reference URL.
Oh, yeah.
And before, most of these things didn't have references. And so that makes search engines not trust them as much. And so an easy thing to do is for me to just go down and give references for all the statements that I liked, get rid of statements I thought weren't true, and just kind of fill it out. And after I did this work, and you can even like look at the history of when things, I did this work like on the 20th in October, and I swear it was 2 days later that he got a knowledge panel. And so I'm pretty sure that it was from the work that I did that he got it.
Well, hell yeah, dude. Appreciate that. I'm sure Richard will appreciate that too. And Richard, if you're listening, you can go ahead and make a schema update to your HTML on richardhart.com, and that'll further ingrain you in the Google archives forever. So,
totally.
But for people that don't know what schema is, it's just a little piece of code in the head of a website.
Mm-hmm.
Basic HTML, you can quickly copy and paste. It's just a bunch of key value pairs, right, where you just identify like the type of thing that is associated with a word. So like saying Richard Hart : human, and birth date : XYZ. And so if you know just a little bit, you can just Google that. Anybody in the chat watching right now has the potential to do this. It doesn't take hardcore coding knowledge or anything.
No.
It would just take, to update schema on a website, you actually have to have ownership to update the website's code.
Correct.
Whereas Wikidata, anybody can do that. And so I'm curious, can you go back to HEX crypto, the Google search for HEX crypto?
Yeah, totally.
Some interesting stuff. As you're pulling that up, part of the reason that the scam page exists, and I've done a lot of updating on the hex.com scam page. It was Richard Hart's idea, obviously, but I've done some updating on there to phrase these. Every header is phrased in the form of a question. And I do that because when people are searching for these exact questions, I want them to come up in the knowledge panel here under the People Also Ask section.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Screen, what's that called? People Also Ask?
We just call it, People Also Ask. Yeah, SEO is like, it's still a relatively new industry. So you'll like find a lot of different names for things and people don't agree, but we just call this, the People Also Ask box.
The People Also Ask. Can you click on like, is HEX a pyramid scheme?
Great. Yep. Is HEX a pyramid scheme?
Yeah. So this, I believe, might come from, it comes from some other website. Never mind.
Falcon Media.
The point of this, that hex.com/scam page is so that, you can actually rank under this People Also Ask section. So it'll automatically recognize the header tags for commonly asked questions and hopefully just automatically fill in some of these FAQs. Now, unfortunately, this website didn't do a great job because they kind of were wishy-washy. The answer should be no. But this website's like, no, it's not, but some people think it is, and that's pretty lame. What about, why does HEX keep going up? That's funny. This is from apnews.com. So a lot of these websites are probably just have a better track record of being around for longer.
Yep.
That's why they're getting pulled.
Google also likes diversity. It'd be hard to, probably like a better strategy for ranking for all of these would be to actually put the answers on like different sites.
I see.
I would say it's unlikely that Google would take the answer to all these questions from the same website,
right? If
they could avoid it.
And that's what that's another reason for the website howtopulse.com.
Yeah.
I know a guy, he's kind of an OG in HEX behind the scenes. He's an SEO expert as well. He wanted to make this website with a bunch of PulseChain and HEX articles and even some articles about setting up hardware wallets so that they could be associated with HEX and PulseChain and put them in a positive light on page 1 of Google. So if you have the ability to make your own blog website, that could also gain traction on Google too. And I guess, the diversity thing is interesting to know because They might only pull a few articles from here for their knowledge base. But we need more websites like this, right? So the more, the better.
Yep.
So
Yep.
get out there, and if you have skills, get out there and do it.
Yeah, definitely. I think that there's like so much that the community can do, and that really is like what drove my post on Twitter. Is it's something that I think a lot of people can kind of struggle with, and when you get into Hex and you realize, like, even in terms of streamers, there's so much. I mean, there's literally an episode of Discourse Syndicate, 6 days a week.
Yeah.
Not including all the one-time stuff. Like now we've got the Steak or Sunday show on Sunday. Like there's so much content that's coming out, and so I think everybody's got to think about what their unique perspective is, and like what kind of skills they can offer to the community, because I think everybody definitely does have value. And it's still so new. Like, this website is awesome to have like community-based websites like this, and we can kind of like leg up each other via linking. And I think Hex already does that a really good job of that, because on hex.com, I think or maybe it's the new website, hex.com. I'm not sure if the current one does, but they link to the community websites.
Yeah, there's a whole page full of backlinks, and the more you're linked to from other websites, the stronger your site becomes in terms of ranking.
Right. Yeah, and like not all links are equal, right? So a link from, if you have start a new blog about hex.com, and then you can get, the hex.com guys to link to you, that is going to be so much more powerful than some new website linking to you. That tells Google that like this is legit, this is, got official recognition, and so you have a much better chance of ranking there on page 1.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on my merge request to go through for howtopulse.com on the links page. So Richard, if you're listening, push that merge button, please. But I think that he might actually be updating the hex.com format as well. So
yeah, I saw that.
He's probably got to do that first before he's worried about any other minor changes. But yeah, I want to get more websites on there. So if you do have a legitimate website, you can message me. I'll add it to the links page, and I'll help it get backlinked and ranked higher on Google. That's a really easy thing we can do to just dominate the search engine results, essentially.
Yeah, and like it really is like a reputation thing. And so, there are people that argue, and I think have a good case, that like mentions by themselves are becoming links, because as search engines get more advanced, if I just say, Crypto Coffee has great Hex content, Google's going to be able to process that information and understand who Crypto Coffee is, and I don't even need a link.
What's a mention? Is that like just an @ on Twitter?
So anywhere. So like literally me saying it, and the algorithm being able to pick it up and process that, me, saying it on a podcast, putting it on a Twitter. Wow. It's basically anywhere that like you could put a link, but instead you just say the names. So if I wrote an article and I just wrote the words Crypto Coffee, I didn't link to your
so even
YouTube
speech
channel.
To text they're doing now. So if you have a YouTube video, and I see a lot of people doing videos and stuff, and I worry that like they're wasting their time to a degree, because they spend almost no time with thumbnails or SEO in their titles or descriptions. There's no hashtags, there's no tags behind the scenes. So what are some quick tips you can give everybody out there right now to
for YouTube SEO?
Well, not just YouTube, but is there any universal tips to help people not suck at SEO or suck?
Right. That's a great question. I think that everybody should learn a little bit about SEO if you're going to be, building a business online, or if you're just part of a business that has an online presence. There are so many processes that SEO affects. And so if you just get into like good SEO habits, like you just mentioned, always having a good thumbnail, always thinking about, if you're going to make a piece of content, think about the keywords first, right? So like what's the main topic, and then staying on that topic, and then taking those keywords, like let's say, I don't know, like pulse swap, right? It's a new thing. We want to optimize some video around pulse swap. We're going to use that in the title. We're going to use that in like the file name of the video. We're going to use that in the description. We're going to use that in the tags, right, that you can put on the video. And so
if you have Twitter posts, for example, if you post an image on Twitter, you can click the alt button in the lower right-hand corner of that picture and add a whole bunch of what's called alt tags to help people know what is this a picture of, right? They do a little bit of like automatic recognition, but you can type in what it is. You can just type in Hex Crypto, PulseChain Airdrop, Richard Hart, whatever you want that you think people might already be searching for. So you can, when you go to Google Images, you see that at the top.
Yep. Yeah, that's a really good point. So just like understanding what the good habits are, good SEO habits are, that's the way like you can really get compounding to work in your favor. Where it's like every time you put up an image, you don't just put up the image, you actually tell the users what it is. And then a good, just to go off what you were saying, is to be careful not to be spammy about it. So you don't want to have an alt image tag that's like 100 words, that all these keywords that are kind of related but not really what it is, because search engines are more and more willing to sort of automatically call you a spammer. And so if you kind of give it reason to think so, like, oh, this person, they're keyword stuffing, they're going to be like, oh, scammer, and not show you at all. And so as the internet gets more content, search engines get more selective as to what they actually want to show. So you definitely want to be thinking about quality first. Um, and so I'd say like a few really relevant hashtags or tags are way better than a bunch of only kind of relevant ones.
Yeah, don't make people do hashtagging wrong too. It's like
Yes.
not every other word should be a hashtag. Just try to think
Right.
about what people are already searching for in your tweet. I
Yeah.
pretty much only hashtag the word HEX and PulseChain because
Hmm.
I don't want to spam it up with a bunch of like, you know, I'm at the gym, hashtag gym. Like,
Right. Right.
who cares? So just think about it, be mindful. One other quick tip is if you do have a website, you can name the images in the website um, by taggable SEO titles. So if I have
Hmm.
an image of a Hex logo, I want to name that image hex dash crypto dash hex dash price dash hex dash news.
Hmm.
Try to think of all the words that somebody might be entering into Google. Hex news, hex price prediction, hex crypto, how to buy hex, where to buy hex, when to buy hex, is hex a good investment? Just like predict what people are thinking basically, and write that in your websites and your header tags, and your Twitter alt text, everything like that. It's really really easy.
Yeah. Just like being known for something is so powerful for SEO. And like that's so hard to measure, right? But these mentions, that like prominent people mentioning you. And I think if you're starting out online, it's great to really pick a niche, like a very, very narrow niche, and then expand out from that. So like somebody like me, I'm, not very like public on the internet. Maybe my niche is like Hex and SEO, like super, super specific, but I could become, the Hex SEO guy. And then
Yeah.
anytime somebody's talking about like search engines and Hex, like they mention me, and that's a great way to like grow your reputation, grow your presence. And more search engines are paying attention to that.
Yeah, I agree. And there's really cool new things. I mean, the people also ask section is pretty new. So
Hmm.
if you've got like just an FAQ page on your website, even if nobody ever clicks on your FAQ page or whatever, at least make an FAQ page because
Yeah.
Google might scoop some of them up and put it right on page one.
Hmm.
The notoriety thing on Wikipedia. If somebody out there is watching, and please try to get Hex a Wikipedia page. I tried about a year ago, but
Yeah.
it didn't have enough notoriety at the time.
Hmm.
And also I'm not like I'm not like a kosher Wikipedia developer, basically. So you have to have a history of updates on Wikipedia. And I tried to rush through that process, so they probably didn't give much value to my content.
Right.
Um, Wikipedia wants you to be someone of notoriety, and whatever that means is arbitrary to Wikipedia and whoever's reviewing that. Some guy in his basement at the end of the day. But they just want to see that you have a lot of posts that are true and honest. And if you can get a Hex Wikipedia page up there, or even a Richard Hart Wikipedia page, that would just be a giant win for us. Again, I've tried it before, but that was a year ago, and so I
Hmm.
think the time has come to try it again. I think we've got a lot more good press now, and a lot more a lot more references that you can actually reference.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good point. And yeah, when we were talking about Wikidata, there's definitely a lower barrier to entry than Wikipedia. So I haven't edited Wikipedia before, but like Wikidata is a good way too. Like if you're semi-prominent, you could certainly make a Wikidata page for yourself. Start with that.
Hmm.
Search engine will still look at it, and it's a great way. And it's also like easier than if you don't know what schema, you don't want to mess with coding. It's a lot easier to make statements there
Yeah.
than it is to like make code, make sure it's good, make all that kind of thing.
If you are new to Wikipedia and you do want to be a more prominent Wikipedia editor, all it takes is 5 posts to get qualified. And so I
Mm,
did that really quick. Again, I kind of rushed it, but for anybody watching that might want to do this, in order to increase your status as a Wikipedia editor, you can just go to some pages of some content or some topic that you know a lot about, read the Wikipedia page, and if something is incorrect, just fix it. and attach the reference. Or if they're missing a piece of data, just add a quick sentence and attach a reference. And then if you get, I think, 5 of those, you become just this higher tier of person for Wikipedia and Wikidata and all that. So.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, I think we definitely need more information on Wikipedia. You know, and you're in grade school, the teachers always tell you can't, you know, use Wikipedia as a reference. Like, well, the internet does. Like, Google very much uses information on Wikipedia. Like,
that's the craziest part, is that we literally have the power to change the reality or the narrative by just how we present things online and how we talk about things. Unfortunately, like I said in the beginning, there was a lot of BS, but that's been getting cleaned up. I don't even see some articles anymore that I used to see. It feels like they've been wiped off the face of the earth, and I really like that, because those articles were complete BS and really just libel and slander. Who knows? Maybe somebody went after them and sued them, or sued the original author, or threatened to, maybe, and then they just took it down. But you know, the more we grow, even if you look up HEX scam, like, is HEX a scam, you will only find a couple of articles, and they're all complete garbage. So it really looks pretty good. At this point, 2 years later, it looks a lot better than it did on day one. We're at 30 minutes, so I'm going to open it up to questions from the chat. Anybody in the chat's got questions for me or Jay Future here? And if not,
is there a way for me to see the chat?
Oh yeah, you can't see the chat. Just go to comments on the right hand side. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, not a whole lot here yet.
Yeah, Wikipedia pages are subjective information. It's so true. But yeah, LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn. I personally, I'm not a big fan of LinkedIn, but I recognize that, like, it's official, right? So I think it's good for like reputation, that kind of thing. But like, personally, I was on LinkedIn. I realized, like, I don't even need this. So I just kind of like got rid of my profile, and I more subscribe to like the idea of, you know, be like hard to reach, you know, so you can focus and get good work done.
Yeah, LinkedIn might matter for people and companies, but since HEX and PulseChain are neither people or companies, it might be a little useless. I mean, you can go try. I mean, it does not hurt to try. Absolutely.
Right.
If you've got a couple of minutes of spare time, go make a LinkedIn page for PulseChain and just see what happens. It doesn't hurt to have like a page with legit information, but you know, for these things that aren't companies and aren't people, like, I know, you know, for people, I come up, my LinkedIn is the first thing that comes up, right? If you Google my name. But there's, you know, there's other ways that we can go about this for topics that are more general, like cryptocurrencies.
Yeah. Yeah. Certainly, like any company, I think LinkedIn's a good, if you're going to have like one social media page, that's good. Generally, like when a new company that they think, oh, we need to have, you know, an Instagram profile, a Facebook profile, all this, it's better to kind of narrow down. And if like you're just going to pick one and you're not very into social media, I think LinkedIn's like a pretty good choice.
Yeah, I mean, if it hasn't been done before, somebody should go make it. Somebody in the chat, one of you 122 people. It doesn't take too long to go make a LinkedIn
I'll go in
page.
and like it.
Yeah, I'll like it.
Let's see. Somebody asked where they can find me. I think Twitter is the best place. So I've got my handle here, J Future.
Oh yeah, I'll show for you. If you need Jay's services, I put I put his link tree in
the link tree. That's got some good call to actions there.
I guess he does consulting and you know, obviously SEO for your business, but hopefully, you know, also your stuff is HEX related too.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, I think we can call it. It's great talking to you, man. I just wanted to say thanks for you know, getting that Richard Hart thing up on page 1. That's pretty badass, and such a easy thing to do that nobody had done yet, and it's just kind of mind blowing. So it's a really cool hack that I think everybody can learn from.
Definitely.
Any last words?
I just say, you know, thanks so much for reaching out to me, getting me on stream finally. This is like something that I've wanted to do and not sure how to go about it. So I hope this is the start of more great like HEX and SEO and just cool content, and more inspiring the community, right? To look at like what you can do. And I think right now is very much, we're still so early and everything. And so, you know, I know like Richard Hart talks about how like he doesn't like people to retire because then they become net sellers. And I think that like it's okay for us all to like get to that stage. But right now is like still a net buying stage, at least for me.
Yeah.
And, I want to be able to sacrifice for Pulse Swap. I don't want to have to sell any crypto right now. So I would encourage all Hexicans to like keep developing yourself professionally. And especially with like any skills you can do on a computer, because you can bring that anywhere and you can have that freedom, to live wherever you want and be on your own schedule. So digital marketing is a great venue for that.
Yeah. Educate yourself, guys. I know I'll be hitting up you if I have any SEO questions, especially as hopefully hex.com continues to get updated. Anybody in the chat, Jay Future's your guy for consulting. I hope you guys learned something, and I hope you guys learned that you don't have to be a developer or a content creator to add value. You can do these cool SEO tricks as well, or a multitude of anything else. Just tiny things you can do. So thanks for watching. Hope you learned something. Make sure to like and subscribe to my channel. Go like Jay Future at Jay Future on Twitter.
Yep.
Got any other socials?
I'll just send me to Twitter for now. That'd be great.
Cool. And we'll talk to you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, Crypto.
Bye.